When did you decide to leave Moscow?
I decided to leave on the 24th of February because when I woke up and understood that there is a war going on, I immediately had a waterfall of feelings and thoughts in my head, and I was thinking about this development of events for a long time, and I understood that this will be very complicated for me to stay in the country, taking into account my career in green finance, taking into account my requirements for my personal safety and security, and general atmosphere in the country, I would say. And I started looking for a job the next day, on the 25th, and I started learning the Serbian language on the 26th. Because my wife is Serbian and I didn't have much choice where to go. So it took me roughly 2.5 months to find a job abroad, which would be remote at the same time. And as soon as I had a contract in hand, I quit my job at Sberbank, which was very good, very interesting and very well paid. But I made this decision and I've never regretted.
Do you think the West, Europe, the US were right to put sanctions on Russia?
Well, I can't say that they were right or wrong, it's their decision, but to my mind, a substantial part of this section has nothing to do with making Russia stop war, and in many cases it's just an empty virtue signaling that damages the general Russian population who has nothing to do with this war, which suffers from this war, and basically these sanctions are turning Russians into, even those Russians who could be friends of the West and help to stop this war, they're turning them into the enemies of the West because, for example, blockade of financial transactions to the West prevent these people from taking their money out of Russia, and this would definitely help to drain out the bloodline that feeds the war machine.
Do you share Putin's grievances towards the West?
I can't say I share most of his grievances, but I definitely share some of his grievances, which doesn't mean that I think that his politics is right. It's completely wrong. And even if you think that somebody is wrong, doesn't mean that you should try to rectify his wrongdoings by doing even worse crimes and worse things. I think that West definitely shouldn't have lectured Russia on many things, from democracy to human rights to many other things that are in problematic stance in the West itself. And I also think that after the war in Iraq, after bombardment of Yugoslavia, bombardment of Libya, and many other things, it's very hard to blame Putin for what he did on the premises of international law, because it wasn't Putin who destroyed the concept of international law. It was the West who did it in the first place. So my idea and my lack of agreement with Putin, not on the grounds of international law, but on the grounds of moral ethics, politics, and simple human well-being. I think it is impossible to correct any wrongdoing by doing even worse wrongdoings.